Hello everybody, today I have some updates on some of what I think are the more interesting, more popular and biggest beauty stories of the year so far. First up, we have an update for Bryan Johnson. If you don't know who he is, he has spent years trying to become essentially the healthiest person on earth and basically trying to fight the aging process. I feel like he wants to live forever and he has spent millions of dollars every year trying to do this. He's become known for his very controversial and somewhat silly little experiments that he does, like blood tests. He swapped his plasma with his son, who I personally feel he has a bit of a weird obsession with. Full body scans, every meal is thought out on with purpose, all that kind of stuff, you know. Well, Bryan Johnson announced that he's actually been diagnosed with a chronic autoimmune disease. This isn't out of the ordinary for a human being, right? But superhuman Bryan Johnson? So Bryan recently revealed that he has autoimmune gastritis, describing it by saying, "My stomach is eating itself." He also said he wants to help solve the disease because as things stand today, there is no cure. Now, despite his quite dramatic approach to what this actually quite rare autoimmune disease is, let's just quickly take a look at what autoimmune gastritis actually is. Autoimmune gastritis is a condition where your immune system mistakenly attacks the lining of your own stomach. More specifically, it attacks cells called peritoneal cells. That's not it. This here. These cells produce stomach acid and something called intrinsic factor, which is essential for absorbing vitamin B12. Over time, damage to these cells can make it harder for your body to absorb both iron and vitamin B12. So yeah, he may have been sounding a little bit dramatic, but he was actually kind of correct. He actually discovered this because for years he had persistently low ferritin levels, and ferritin is basically your body's like iron storage kind of thing. Despite changing his diet and taking iron supplements, those levels continue to stay low, which is a little bit strange. Thing is, he didn't really have any obvious symptoms. It was only after further investigations, including blood tests, an endoscopy and stomach biopsies, that doctors identified autoimmune gastritis as the cause. Now, the issue is that autoimmune gastritis can remain incredibly stagnant, quiet, seeable, I don't know the word, you know what I mean? For years, it could go unnoticed for years. When symptoms do appear, they are often very subtle, often things like fatigue, poor concentration, indigestion, or just generally not feeling quite right. So basically how adults feel on a regular basis. Bryan described this as his stomach eating itself, which is technically describing the autoimmune process, but experts interviewed about his diagnosis offered a bit more of a balanced perspective, shall we say. Dr. Ashkan Fahadi, a gastroenterologist, pointed out that the overwhelming majority of cases are actually asymptomatic. Many people have this without even realizing it, and treatment today focuses on replacing nutrients like iron and vitamin B12, monitoring patients over time, and watching for complications. However, Bryan will now be monitored for stomach cancer because the risk is increased compared to the general population, but is still relatively low. Now, Bryan is right. There is currently no approved cure. So Bryan has said that he wants to investigate experimental treatments by analyzing immune cells and inflammatory pathways on his own stomach. He's gonna get up to his usual shit, right? But even he acknowledged that much of his work is still preclinical or entirely experimental, as we know. So as awful as this is gonna sound, this was kind of like a gotcha moment. Not really, can you describe it as that? What I mean is that he has spent so much time and money trying to become the ultimate human being, essentially, and he got sick. In fact, despite this constant monitoring of himself, this condition was secretly developing over years. Experts from Northeastern University say that this actually highlights one of the biggest limitations of personalized health tracking. We can collect more biological data than ever before. Blood work, imaging wearables, sleep tracking, heart monitoring, everything nowadays is turned to a maxing, right? Sleep maxing, optimizing every fucking thing that we do. But many diseases, especially autoimmune diseases, can still develop silently before they become obvious. You could even be living with them for years before you even know. I want to include the perspective of Liz. I'm calling her Liz because I don't actually know her full name, but I follow her on TikTok. She's a, I'm going to butcher this word, hematology oncology physician assistant, because whilst many experts have discussed this online and what this means for self-monitoring and the disease itself, I think Liz has summed up this in a way that's incredibly grounded and very to the point, and what a lot of us have been saying and feeling and thinking when we look at Bryan and his experiments. She responded to Bryan Johnson's diagnosis and also referenced Nara Smith's younger daughter developing cancer and said the reason isn't because either of them have failed in any way whatsoever. It's not because they've destroyed themselves. It's not because, you know, whatever. She simply states this has happened because they are human. Her point was that we sometimes assume enough money, enough testing, enough optimization, enough supplements, enough healthy eating, or even biohacking can somehow eliminate disease. But genetics interact with countless environmental factors every single day. We still don't know exactly which combination eventually leads to someone developing cancer or an autoimmune disease. Sometimes there simply isn't anything that person could have done differently. And this might sound quite dark, but to me, that gives me much more comfort than thinking that one day I can become an indestructible human if I just take enough supplements. Bryan Johnson's diagnosis is a reminder that biology is far more complicated than what he's making it out to be. Looking after yourself absolutely, of course, matters. Eating well matters. Exercising, sleep, etc. But even doing everything right doesn't make someone immune to illness. That's because we're human. That's how being human works. I honestly wish the best for him. I maybe hope this puts a few things into perspective for him, and it'll be interesting to see where he goes from here. Odd little side thing. He was actually pictured with my favorite reusable sheet mask from Experiment. So it does look like he knows a thing or two about skincare. I think my favorite update is going to be this one. It has been almost a year since influencer Victoria Nelson went public with allegations against celebrity esthetician Sonya Dakar, claiming a chemical peel left her with permanent facial burns. I spoke about this whole story here if you want to catch yourself up a little bit, but here is a recap. According to Victoria Nelson, I'll be saying according, allegedly, for legal reasons, but according to Victoria Nelson, she'd been seeing Sonya Dakar for acne treatments since 2019 and had developed a very close relationship with her, actually referring to her as her LA mum. And in April, do I say that weird? LA. In April of 2021, she says she underwent a facial treatment that included a chemical peel after being told it involved little to no downtime. However, Victoria alleges that almost immediately after the solution was applied, she experienced an intense burning sensation. She says part of the product dripped beneath her eyebrow, causing severe pain, and when she looked in the mirror, she realized sections of her skin appeared to have been burned. She later shared photographs documenting what she says were injuries. Rather than seeking treatment elsewhere, Victoria says that she continued seeing Sonya Dakar over the following months and years because she was told by Sonya that she could basically help her, that she was the most capable person of repairing the damage. According to her account, she underwent dozens more procedures, spent thousands of dollars in the hope that the scarring could be improved. Eventually, she sought advice from a dermatologist who basically questions why she'd never been referred to a burn specialist or a plastic surgeon, and instead was recommended laser treatments to try and reduce her damage. In late 2025, Victoria filed a civil lawsuit against Sonya Dakar and also submitted a formal complaint to the California Board of Barbering and Cosmetology. Her lawsuit includes a number of allegations, including claims that treatments were performed outside the scope of outside the scope of an esthetician's license, that she was billed for services she didn't receive, and that she suffered permanent injuries. The complaint also brought renewed attention to Sonya Dakar's regulatory history. According to records referenced in the complaint, her license had actually previously been revoked on more than one occasion, including following disciplinary action in 2009. The complaint also references previous allegations involving client injuries and the use of equipment that allegedly fell outside the legal scope of an esthetician's license in California. She also went off the rails a bit, didn't she? Didn't she like start throwing things at inspectors? I can't remember. I'll have to watch my own video and catch up. Throughout all this, Sonya Dakar has not publicly responded to Victoria Nelson's allegations anywhere. She's not said anything. So what is the latest update? According to reporting from Allure and a Victoria Nelson video, the California State Board of Barbering and Cosmetology has confirmed that Sonya Dakar has surrendered both her esthetician license and the establishment license for her Beverly Hills clinic. The licenses were surrendered on June the 22nd, with a decision becoming effective on July 22nd. As a result, she can no longer legally practice as an esthetician or operate under those licenses in the state of California. Under the terms of the agreement, she's also required to return her license certificates and cannot apply for reinstatement for at least 3 years. Hang on though, because this is an administrative decision regarding professional licensing. It is separate from Victoria Nelson's civil lawsuit, which is still ongoing and has not yet reached a final outcome. Surrendering a license is not the same thing as a court ruling on the allegations made in the lawsuit. Victoria has since shared how she feels about this decision, saying it does bring a sense of validation after years of medical treatment, legal proceedings, and living with the physical and emotional effects of the alleged injuries. But she also made it clear that for her, this isn't a happy ending. She says the scarring remains, she's still receiving regular dermatological treatment, and surrendering the licenses doesn't undo what she says happened. Instead, she views the decision as recognition that her concerns were taken seriously. She also hopes others can learn from her experience. As for the lawsuit itself, that remains active, ongoing, so there are still things that haven't been answered. We'll have to wait and see how those proceedings developed, but as things stand today, the biggest update is that Sonya Dakar has officially surrendered both her licenses and can no longer touch anyone in California. I hope this is a step in the right direction for Victoria's lawsuit. I mean, I don't know how the law works, but to me, this looks like admitting guilt, so we'll see. Okay, I have a sort of update about Looksmaxing poster boy Clavicular. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I kind of feel a little bit sorry for him at the moment. He is a douche. He is the biggest dickhead, honestly, but I think he knows he screwed up. If you don't know who Clavicular is, lucky you, and I've covered him before. He's basically become the face of the online Looksmaxing movement, encouraging young men to optimize every aspect of their appearance. Well, he's back, and this time people online are saying that he's descended. Now, if you don't spend your life doom scrolling Looksmaxing forums, or you aren't an incel with daddy issues, ascending basically means becoming more attractive. So naturally, descending means going the other way. Over what he called Ascension Week. Sorry. I'll explain why I'm laughing in a minute. Clavicular underwent multiple procedures before his appearance at Paris Fashion Week, including scar removal, rhinoplasty, optoplasty, that surgery to change the appearance of his ears, and even had his wisdom teeth removed. And it's the rhinoplasty that everyone seems to be talking about. This is why I'm laughing, as well as some of his outfit choices. Why is he dressed like Hilary Duff? He's dressed like Lizzie McGuire or like late 2000s Disney child. Is the weirdest outfit. And that's why I'm laughing, because I can't stop thinking about those trousers. Now, I've been seeing comments everywhere saying that he's been botched, that he ruined his face, that he looks maxed too hard. Now listen, I wouldn't usually comment on anyone's appearance because attractiveness is subjective. Subjective? Objective? People like what they like. I don't think attractiveness is having a dead symmetrical face and every feature being perfect. But listen, Clavicular's whole thing is about how attractive he is, the technicalities of being attractive. Oh, he's racist as fuck as well. And he also judges everybody else's appearance. So I'm going to judge him too. I agree, he looks like shit now. He has ruined his face. He was commercially attractive before. You know, like how like in school people are like, I'm a model. And it's like, you've done a catalog, you're a commercial model. That's what he looked like. But let's be fair for a minute. He is still healing. A rhinoplasty can take months, sometimes close to a year, before all the swelling settles and you actually see the final result. So judging a rhinoplasty before it's finished swelling is like, I love a cake analogy, but it's like judging a cake before it's come out the oven. What I find more interesting is why people are reacting the way they are. A lot of the criticism isn't actually saying the surgery was badly done. The surgery was badly done, by the way, though, but people are saying he looked better before, that he lost his uniqueness, which I do agree with, and that he doesn't even look like Clavicular anymore. And I find that so interesting, so fascinating, because these people who worship him because of his advice are commenting that he lost his uniqueness, which isn't something the incel industry community enjoy, because to me, it's unique features that make someone attractive. A Roman nose, I love pokey out ears, you know, all these unique features that don't sit in that dead symmetrical Mask of Cleopatra kind of, you know, category. And now the incels are agreeing? I find it weird. It's fascinating because the whole philosophy behind Looksmaxing is that you can keep improving your appearance. But can you? Is there a point where trying to perfect every feature actually starts removing the things that made you attractive in the first place? And it just feels like the Looksmaxing community are happily proving themselves wrong. Because that's what I think he's done. I think people automatically presume that making each and every feature on your face perfect is going to make you the most attractive you can be. But as I said, it's those little quirks that make your face unique and attractive, and not in like a, oh, we're all beautiful in our own way kind of mushy thing. No, I think technically and scientifically there must be a reason why people like these unique things, and when those unique features go, that's what makes us look at like celebrities and influencers who get surgery and we're all like, what the fuck have you done? What's really ironic is that the very community Clavicular helped build is now the one deciding whether he's gone too far. The same people who praise his ascension are now saying he's descended. Whether that's actually true, to be fair, technically don't know yet. Like I said, his nose hasn't healed. His face is still recovering. So maybe in 6 months, everyone will completely change their minds. But to be honest, unless his nose can grow vertically, I don't think he's gonna look much different or any better. Before and after, come on. Like, he has ruined his face. Like, his nose made him unique, and now he's got what? I don't even know what it is. But even the poster boy for Looksmaxing can spend thousands on cosmetic procedures and immediately be told he's somehow become less attractive. Maybe that perfection isn't quite as objective as those communities like to believe. We all knew that. Side note, please stop putting influencers on a catwalk. They do not belong in fashion shows, and influencers, I'm going on like a tangent here. Influencers go to red carpet events. Men, influencers, stop wearing cardigans to influencer events. Christ. Red carpet events even. Okay, here's an update on probably one of my most hated brands, Jiyu. But it's not gonna be what I think you think it's gonna be. If you've seen my previous videos, you'll know I had a lot of questions, concerns, qualms about this brand. It wasn't the products themselves that caught my attention. It was everything around this brand. The weird, extremely vague founder story that looked like it was written by a 12-year-old, the strange and also vague website, the endless AI-generated marketing slop from both the brand and people trying to sell this product, the odd online behavior, it all just felt off. Something about this brand wasn't right. Like a brand that desperately was trying to present itself as Korean skincare without even explaining why it should be considered K-beauty in the first place. And not that every brand has to do that, but when you have a fake Korean name like Jiyu, that doesn't mean anything, and everyone's producing AI videos pretending you're sold in Sephora, people are going to be suspicious. Now, they've announced a new CEO, Sonya Dakar. Unlike a lot of questions I had about Jiyu's early branding, Sora's experience, history, resume is beyond impressive. Like, this woman knows her shit. If you want your brand to succeed, you go to her. Before joining Jiyu, she worked at companies like Meta, Netflix, and TikTok, building expertise in digital marketing, consumer growth, and brand strategy. This is where it gets interesting to me, because she also founded Curated Agency, a company focused on helping Korean beauty brands expand internationally, working with brands like Tier, Colourgram, Olive Young, VT Cosmetics, Jungsei Mall, Medicube, the list goes on. So, despite this looking a bit like, to me, quick, let's hire a Korean person so we appear more authentic, we're not talking about someone who's simply been hired to be a Korean face of a Korean skincare brand here. We're talking about somebody who understands both the Korean beauty industry and how to successfully introduce those brands to a global audience. One of the biggest criticisms of the brand was never, oh my god, this product isn't Korean enough. It's just that the whole story never felt coherent. It leaned heavily into K-beauty aesthetics, fake K-beauty language, but there wasn't much substance behind it. The branding often felt like it was trying to borrow credibility and cosplay as K-beauty. Sonya Dakar has the experience to change that. But how's she gonna change that? Like, this brand can't suddenly become Korean if they weren't in the first place. Whether it matters or not, we talk about in the Jiyu video, but if anybody can help shape a clearer vision for the brand, strengthen relationships with Korean manufacturers, bring genuine innovation, and create a more authentic identity, she's probably one of the better people you could hire. Will that happen though? I don't know. This brand will always like give me the ick, as the kids say, because there's something I just will never trust about them because they're dodgy beginnings. But for the first time since Jiyu appeared on my radar, I'm actually more interested in where the brand goes next, rather than where it came from. Hiring someone with Sonya's background doesn't erase the concerns. myself and other people had about Jiyu's early days, but it does signal that the company may be taking its long-term credibility much more seriously and might go from this dodgy, Temu-y, AliExpress feeling brand into something a lot more creditable and trustworthy. And honestly, maybe this is the future of K-beauty. I feel like we've been having this conversation a lot around what makes a brand authentically Korean, authentically K-beauty. And one strain of it, one branch of it, I think we're going to see a lot of these wannabe K-beauty brands make enough money that experienced Korean beauty experts come in afterwards and kind of adopt them. Almost like, congratulations on making millions, pretending to be part of this industry. Now let's see if we can turn you into an actual credible skincare brand. I'm joking. I'm not joking. I'm hoping this gives Jiyu the opportunity to be more transparent about their actual backstory, to develop a clearer identity, to stop relying on vague marketing, the AI slop that we're seeing, whether it's created by the brand or not, and start building genuine credibility. So I'll happily give credit where credit is due. If it's due, if Jiyu becomes a genuinely interesting brand under Sora Lee's leadership. But I also don't think people should forget how the brand got here in the first place. You know what I mean? Let me know how you feel about these updates in the comments down below. If there's any other stories that you want an update on that I've touched on in the past, leave it in the comments down below. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll see you next time.